There is one exercise that professional traders rely on to survive pressure, while 95% of losing traders never do it. Every serious prop firm builds it into their trader training process. Every elite trader talks about it, but almost nobody actually practices it. If you still make mistakes like breaking your rules after a stop loss, overtrading on bad days, hesitating when price moves fast, or knowing exactly what to do but not doing it, there's a good chance you're missing this exercise. And no, it's not a new strategy. It's not a better indicator. It's not more screen time. It's a mental skill that prepares you before the market puts you under pressure. By the end of this video, you'll add one of the most important tools professional traders use to stay disciplined, calm, and consistent, even on losing days. And once you have it, your strategy finally gets a chance to work. Here's the problem almost nobody talks about. Most traders believe they're prepared because they've planned their best-case scenario. They've marked their levels. They know where they'll enter. They know where their stop loss and target are. Everything looks perfect, as long as the market behaves. But the market never promised to behave. Instead, it gives you fake breakouts that trap you, stop loss hunts that hit fast and hard, sudden volatility out of nowhere, and news you didn't plan for. And when that happens, something critical changes. Your brain doesn't stay logical. It shifts into survival mode. Your heart rate goes up. Your attention narrows. Your urge to do something takes over. Your mouse clicks faster than you're thinking. That's when rules get broken. That's when revenge trades happen. That's when position size mysteriously increases. That's when discipline disappears. Not slowly, but instantly. And here's the brutal truth. You don't lose money in the market because you don't know what to do. You lose money because you've never trained your mind for the moment when things go wrong. Most traders only prepare for execution. They never prepare for pressure. They assume they'll stay calm. They assume they'll be disciplined. They assume they'll just follow the plan. But under stress, assumptions collapse. In high-pressure moments, you don't rise to the level of your strategy. You fall to the level of your preparation. That's why the same trader can trade perfectly in backtests, trade perfectly on demo, trade perfectly on good days, and completely lose control the moment the market pushes back. This isn't a discipline problem. It's not a motivation problem. It's not even a psychology problem in the way most people think. It's a preparation problem. And until that gap is fixed, no new strategy will save you. Here's where the real separation happens. Amateur traders wait for the market to teach them how to react. Master traders don't. They train their reactions before the market has a chance. Every morning, most traders do the same routine. They open their charts, draw a few levels, set an entry, a stop loss, a target, and tell themselves, "I'm ready." But that's not what professional preparation looks like. Because professionals know something most traders don't. The market doesn't test your analysis. It tests your behavior under pressure. So while others are focused on price, master traders are focused on themselves. They mentally walk through the worst-case scenarios. What if the trade fails immediately? What if I get stopped out twice in a row? What if price explodes without me and I feel the urge to chase? What if nothing sets up and boredom creeps in? But they don't stop at the scenario. They go one level deeper. They rehearse the emotion, the frustration, the disappointment, the spike of adrenaline, the urge to click. And then, this is the key. They rehearse the exact response they will execute when that emotion appears. Not vague intentions like, "I'll stay calm, I'll be disciplined." Concrete actions. If this happens, I do this. If I feel that, I step away. If I lose twice, I stop trading. So when pressure hits in real time, their brain isn't improvising. It's recognizing a familiar situation and running a response it has already practiced. That's why master traders look calm in moments that destroy everyone else. Not because they don't feel emotion, but because emotion is no longer in control. When the situation happens in real life, their mind is simply repeating something it already knows. At this point, it's important to clear up a misunderstanding. Rehearsal is not positive thinking. It's not motivation. And it's definitely not imagining perfect trades. Rehearsal is not daydreaming about winning. Rehearsal is training your reaction before pressure arrives. Most traders only ask one question. What if this trade works? Professional traders ask a very different set of questions. What if it doesn't? What will I feel? And what will I do in the first few seconds? Because those first few seconds are everything. Let's make this practical. Price hits your stop loss faster than expected. What happens in the next 5 seconds? Do you immediately look for another trade? Do you feel the urge to get the money back? Do you increase size just this once? Or do you pause, exactly as planned? Another scenario. Your trade is in profit. Price is moving, but not fast. You start thinking, what if it comes back? Do you move your stop too early? Do you micromanage the trade? Do you sabotage a good setup out of fear? Another one. Price explodes without you. You miss the entry. Your chest tightens. Your finger hovers over the mouse. Do you chase or do you stand down? This is what rehearsal actually looks like. You don't ask, if I win, how good will I feel? You ask, when I'm frustrated, what is my response? When I'm disappointed, what is my rule? When I want revenge, what is my exit? Professional traders rehearse emotion plus action together, because emotion alone is dangerous. Rules alone are fragile. But when a specific emotion is linked to a specific pre-decided action, you remove choice from the worst possible moment. And that's the point. Rehearsal doesn't make trading easier. It makes your behavior predictable, even when the market is not. To really understand why rehearsal works, let's step outside trading for a moment, because trading isn't special in this problem. Every field that demands performance under pressure has already solved it. Let's start with basketball, and not just any player. I'm talking about Michael Jordan. 6 NBA championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs. Widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. But what separated Jordan wasn't just skill, it was how he prepared for pressure. Jordan didn't only practice shooting, he rehearsed moments. He mentally played through the final seconds of the game, the crowd screaming, defenders closing in, missing shots, and taking the next one anyway. He imagined failure just as clearly as success. So when the clock was running out and the entire game came down to one possession, his body wasn't under stress. It was executing something his mind had already lived through. Pressure didn't break him. It felt familiar. Now switch sports. Let's talk about football. Think about the most pressure-heavy position in American sports, NFL quarterback. And one name stands above the rest, Tom Brady. 7 Super Bowl titles, more playoff wins than any player in history, and countless game-winning drives under extreme pressure. Brady was never the most athletic quarterback. Never the fastest, never the strongest, but he was the most prepared. Before games, Brady rehearsed chaos. He mentally walked through defensive breakdowns, unexpected blitzes, interceptions, hostile stadiums, and being hit hard, then getting up and executing the next play. So when protection collapsed in real time, his brain didn't panic. It recognized the situation, and recognition always beats reaction. Now slow the pace down. Let's go to golf. A sport where there's nowhere to hide. I'm talking about Tiger Woods. Tiger didn't just practice swings. He rehearsed entire courses in his mind. Before tournaments, he visualized the wind, the slope of the green, the sound of the crowd, and the pressure of Sunday afternoon. Shot by shot, hole by hole. So when he stood over the ball with millions watching, his nervous system wasn't overwhelmed. It was repeating. That composure, not just technique, is what separated him from others with equal physical talent. What all of them understood. These athletes didn't train confidence. They trained familiarity with pressure. They didn't hope stress wouldn't show up. They made stress feel normal. And that is exactly what rehearsal does for traders. Rehearsal in trading. Same rule, different arena. The market puts traders under uncertainty, time pressure, financial risk, emotional threat. Just like sports. And the rule is the same. Under pressure, you don't rise to your potential. You fall back to what you've trained. When traders rehearse, taking a stop loss, sitting through drawdown, missing trades, doing nothing, they're training their nervous system. So when those moments arrive, the brain doesn't scream danger. It says, I've been here before. What psychology says about this? Performance psychology has known this for decades. The brain cannot fully distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. That's why elite performers use rehearsal. Tony Robbins often explains that emotionally charged visualization conditions behavior faster than repetition alone. The mind learns through experience, not intention, and rehearsal creates experience, on purpose. There's also a timeless idea echoed across disciplines. Bruce Lee famously said, "Under pressure, you do not rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your training." That single sentence explains most trading failure. Why this changes everything for traders. Rehearsal reduces emotional shock, shortens recovery after losses, prevents impulsive decisions, and protects discipline when it matters most. It doesn't remove emotion, it removes surprise. And when behavior becomes predictable, strategies finally have room to work. You can't control the market, but you can control the version of yourself that walks into it, and that version is built before the first trade of the day. Now let's be very clear about one thing. Mental rehearsal is not something you do during trading. It is done before the first trade of the day. Its purpose is simple: to remind you of your rules, to expose your instinctive reactions, and to pre-program the response you should execute under pressure. Think of it as a mental training session, not preparation for the market, but preparation for your own behavior inside the market. Step 1. Rehearse the trading plan, not the outcome. You start by walking through your trading plan mentally, not emotionally, not optimistically, mechanically. You visualize when you are allowed to enter, when you are not, where exits are valid, where stop loss is non-negotiable. You see yourself, waiting for confirmation, letting price come to you, accepting missed trades. This part is about reminding your brain of structure, because under pressure, structure is the first thing that disappears. Step 2. Rehearse the mistakes, on purpose. This is where rehearsal becomes powerful. Professional traders do not only imagine perfect execution, they deliberately imagine themselves making mistakes, one by one. You visualize yourself, entering too early out of impatience, refusing to take a stop loss, revenge trading after a loss, overtrading in choppy conditions, increasing size emotionally. And for each mistake, you rehearse 3 elements: the core framework, trigger to instinct to correct response. For every mistake, you mentally go through this sequence. 1. The trigger. What situation causes this mistake? For example, price moves fast without you. You get stopped out twice. The market feels easy after a win. Boredom during low volatility. You identify the exact moment the mistake is triggered. 2. The instinctive reaction. Then you acknowledge the truth. What do you naturally want to do? Click. Immediately. Widen the stop, increase size, force a trade, get it back. No judgment. This is not about discipline. This is about honesty. If you don't face the instinct, you cannot replace it. 3. The correct response. Now you rehearse the response that must override instinct. Concrete actions. Step away from the screen, close the platform, reduce size, do nothing, end the session. You see yourself executing that response calmly, not heroically, not emotionally, mechanically. This is how you teach your brain what should happen when pressure hits. Why this process works. Because under stress, you will not invent new behavior. You will repeat what is familiar. Rehearsal makes the correct response familiar before the mistake happens in real time. It removes surprise, and surprise is what destroys discipline. How long does this take? For a new trader, this process can take 30 to 60 minutes, and that's normal. You are building awareness of your triggers, your instincts, and your corrective actions. For an experienced trader, this often compresses into 15 to 20 minutes, because patterns repeat, mistakes repeat, and responses become automatic. The goal is not speed. The goal is clarity. What changes over time? At first, rehearsal feels deliberate. Later, it becomes instinctive. Eventually, you no longer fight emotions. You recognize them early. And early recognition is what gives professionals their edge. Not because they don't feel pressure, but because pressure no longer controls behavior. At some point, every trader realizes the same truth. The market is not what breaks you. You break yourself under pressure. Not because you lack intelligence, not because your strategy is bad, but because your reactions were never trained. Professional traders understand something most people don't. Trading is not a thinking game. It's a reaction game. And reactions are never built in the moment. They are built before the moment arrives. That's why the best traders in the world don't rely on willpower, motivation, or discipline. They rely on rehearsal. They rehearse their rules. They rehearse their mistakes. They rehearse their emotional triggers. They rehearse the exact response they will execute when pressure shows up. So when the market tests them, and it always will, they don't fight their instincts. They replace them. That's the difference between reacting emotionally and executing professionally. If you're serious about trading, this is not an optional habit. It's a core skill, because no strategy survives untrained reactions, and no edge works if behavior collapses under stress. So, before you search for another setup, another indicator, or another strategy, start preparing the one thing that actually decides your results: